Across the world, many strange phenomena have occurred that have left modern science struggling to provide explanations, yet few have posed as large and enduring a mystery as the bizarre death of Mary Reeser, a 67-year-old woman living in Florida, United States. On a morning in July 1951, Reeser's small apartment became the scene of an almost unimaginable event. Her body was found nearly reduced to ashes, with only part of one leg, her spine, and a portion of her skull remaining, while the surrounding objects appeared largely untouched. Most astonishing of all was the state of her skull. Not shattered, as is typical in fire fatalities, but reportedly shrunken to the size of a teacup, a phenomenon previously unknown to science. Mary Reeser's death not only shocked the authorities at the time, but quickly became a subject of controversy among the media, scientific community, and the public for decades to follow. From the weak effect to theories involving electromagnetic waves or spontaneous human combustion, SHC, numerous explanations have been proposed, yet all fall short of fully addressing the case's inexplicable details. This ambiguity has lifted the case of Mary Reeser beyond that of a mere accident, transforming it into one of the most renowned unsolved mysteries of the 20th century, challenging the boundaries between scientific understanding and the shadows of the unknown. On July 2, 1951, in the city of St. Petersburg, Florida, USA, a strange incident occurred that would baffle the scientific and forensic communities for decades. Mary Hardy Reeser, a 67-year-old widow, was found burned to death in her small apartment under extremely unusual circumstances. Her body had been almost entirely reduced to ash, with only part of her left leg, her spine, and a portion of her skull remaining. What was even more astonishing was that the objects surrounding her body, including the armchair she had been sitting in, the floor, the walls, and various household items, were barely affected by the fire. Most notably, her skull was described as having shrunken to the size of a teacup, a phenomenon never before recorded in ordinary fire incidents. The first person to discover the scene was Mrs. Pansy Carpenter, the landlady and also Mary Reeser's neighbor. That morning, Mrs. Carpenter had intended to deliver mail to Reeser when she noticed the doorknob was unusually hot. Upon opening the door, she encountered a horrifying sight. The room was filled with the stench of burned flesh, and the remains of Reeser's body lay on a pile of ash on the floor. The armchair she had been sitting in was nearly destroyed, yet items just a few feet away, including the curtains and a nearby table, were only lightly coated in soot. Police and firefighters quickly arrived at the scene. Their investigation revealed no signs of a widespread fire or a clear source of ignition. According to the FBI's report, the temperature required to incinerate a human body to the point of ash is typically between 1,400 and 100 degrees Fahrenheit, about 760 to 980 degrees Celsius, an intensity unlikely to occur in a small room, without causing the entire structure to catch fire. Even more puzzling was that Mary Reeser's skull had not exploded as is common in fire deaths, but had instead shrunk, an occurrence that has never been documented in forensic history. The case of Mary Reeser prompted a multitude of hypotheses from experts and researchers attempting to explain this unusual phenomenon. Among these, some theories suggested that the cause might lie in a specific endogenous chemical reaction within the body. From this perspective, certain researchers pointed out that under particular conditions, the accumulation of compounds such as acetone or ketones, commonly found in individuals following strict diets or suffering from diabetes, could create a highly flammable environment if exposed to a small spark. However, this view lacks experimental support, and no medical evidence indicates that Mary Reeser had any related health conditions. Another hypothesis, although less commonly discussed, was proposed by some scientists regarding the possibility of frequency resonance or the effects of electromagnetic waves. According to this theory, certain frequencies might cause a rise in internal tissue temperature, potentially leading to combustion from the inside out. Nevertheless, This hypothesis was quickly dismissed due to the absence of any radiation sources or transmitting equipment at the scene, and the physical mechanism for such an occurrence has never been verified in natural conditions. Continuing along the line of speculation, some analysts have pointed to a hypothesis involving the use of sleeping pills or tranquilizers. Mary Reeser was known to regularly take sedatives, which could have rendered her unconscious when the fire began. If, for instance, the fire was started by a fallen cigarette while she was dressed in flammable clothing and seated on a foam-cushioned chair, the flame could have smoldered and gradually consumed her body without causing a large blaze in the surroundings. This scenario also opens the door to the possibility of the wick effect, in which body fat acts as a slow-burning fuel, much like the wax in a candle. However, this theory still fails to satisfactorily explain the phenomenon of the shrunken skull. Another line of thought, although more speculative and bordering on the fantastical, suggests that the cause might have been a rare natural occurrence such as ball lightning or atmospheric plasma. These phenomena can generate extremely high temperatures in a very localized area, potentially enough to incinerate a human body without damaging the surrounding environment. Nonetheless, ball lightning typically leaves behind clear signs of electrical disruption or burn marks, none of which were reported at the scene of Mary Reeser's death. And finally, as with any mysterious case, there have been numerous opinions pointing to the hypothesis of external intervention, even conspiracy or organized criminal activity. Some believe that Mary Reeser may have become the victim of a new weapons technology experiment or was assassinated by a method previously unknown. However, this theory also lacks foundation, as there was no evidence of another person's presence, no signs of forced entry, and the investigation files uncovered no suspicious motives or personal conflicts. The case of Mary Reeser quickly attracted the attention of the media and the public. Many newspapers referred to her as the woman who spontaneously combusted. The scientific community, however, was divided in opinion. Some researchers believed the incident to be evidence of SHC, while others insisted that more scientific proof was necessary and rejected the supernatural hypothesis. Dr. Wilton Krogman, a renowned forensic expert at the time, stated that he had seen and analyzed many cases of body incineration, but had never encountered a case as strange as that of Mary Reeser. He believed the phenomenon of the shrunken skull completely contradicted the known principles of physics and chemistry. To this day, the case of Mary Reeser remains one of the greatest mysteries related to CHC. Although there is no specific evidence confirming that this was a case of spontaneous human combustion, there is also no fully accepted logical explanation. The case has become a part of popular culture, appearing in many television programs, books, and documentaries about supernatural phenomena. It also serves as a reminder of the limits of human understanding. While modern science has unraveled many things once thought impossible, incidents like that of Mary Reeser remain a challenge without a solution. She is not only an unfortunate individual in a strange accident, but also a symbol of the unanswered questions in a world that we thought we understood. In fact, every case is associated with an external source of fire, said Roger Byard, a pathologist at the University of Adelaide, Australia, who pointed out that the most common culprits are cigarettes, oil lamps, or candles. The most widely accepted scientific explanation for the phenomenon of spontaneous human combustion is known as the wick effect, where the human body acts like a candle. In 1998, during a BBC television program, scientists in the UK recreated similar conditions using a deceased pig as a test subject. They wrapped the pig in a blanket before setting it on fire. Its legs were not completely burned, exactly as many reports describe in cases of spontaneous human combustion. The wick theory suggests that fat acts as a fuel source and the human body has the potential to burn due to its high fat content. The blanket and clothing function similarly to the wick of a candle. Researcher Bayard suggested, imagining that when a person wraps themselves in a blanket and drinks a lot of alcohol, it essentially acts as a catalyst, similar to gasoline. And if that person accidentally drops a cigarette into the alcohol-laden environment, it would ignite, starting a fire. The key difference is that the fat in the human body can burn slowly at lower temperatures. The case of Mary Reeser is not only an unusual forensic case, but also an invitation for the scientific community to continue exploring the limits of human knowledge. Whether or not SHC truly exists, the case has left a deep mark in the history of unexplained phenomena. While no final explanation has been widely accepted, Mary Reeser remains at the center of one of the 20th century's most unresolved mysteries.